Ahum. Blessings. Namaste. Bendiciones. Thank you for joining me today. Today we're going to continue with Las Barajas Españolas, which is the Spanish tarot cards. It's a beautiful tarot card. I like this one in particular because it's small. My hands are small, so those big ones, like uh, earlier this year, um, I produced and created my own tarot cards, the Shaman's Vision, and they're really big. There was a lot of information in there, but they're really big for my hands. So I really appreciate little ones like this. Um, so today, what we're going to do is we're going to look at the number 2 cards of the deck. And the number 2, you're going to know. Let me make this bigger so I can see it. I always do that. I always forget. It's the number 2 card on the deck. All right. And we're going to start with the 4 suits. The 4 suits are clubs, swords, cups, and coins. Or if you want to call them pentacles, that's up to you. But they're coins. So those are the 4 suits. And then, of course, you have major arcanas, and you have these minor arcanas. And the rule still remains where major arcanas, the message is really there. And there is a lot of truth, whether you like it or not. And the 99.99999% of the time, the outcome you can't change. It won't change. What people fail to tell you is that the outcome, in order to change, the change has to happen in your present. Doesn't mean that you have to live it out, whatever the major arcana is telling you that is going to happen. The major arcana is telling you that things are going to happen if you continue on the road that you are following in your present. So that's what you really need to keep that in mind and understand. If this is not, if the future is not what you want, this is not what you're looking for, you need to make the change here. And oh yeah, it'll change. It'll definitely change. So with a minor arcana, there are things that you can change. Well, with a minor arcana that you can make changes to comes then the great transformation that will show in your major arcana. And I know that a lot of people are going to give me heat for that, but we need to start being honest and stop fear-mongering people and give them the information that they need so that they can all have a good life with good guidance and love that's enough for everyone to have. But that's another video that I'll be putting together so I can get even more heat. All right, so yeah, yay, Leo. Okay, so we're going to start with the 2 of clubs. All right, when the 2 of clubs comes out anywhere, it is talking about a couple of different things. The number 1 thing is it talks about short trips, maybe has to do with work, maybe has to do, you need to get away, maybe a weekend, just solitude, weekend getaways, conversations with neighbors, friends, brothers, just conversations. It can mean short trips, weekend getaways, or a conversation with neighbors, friends, or brothers and sisters. It's the little joys that we find doing these things that help us along the way. The card reminds us always that we should seek happiness, not across the world, but in our vicinity. happiness. If you can't find it, it's because you're not making it. So make it. On the theme of love, it announces a flirt or time for you to reflect on renewing your relationship. Maybe you won't tell your husband or your boyfriend that you're taking them, or your girlfriend that you're taking them on a short trip. Could it be related? Yeah, absolutely it could be related, because it's going to bring you what? Joy and happiness. There you go. Maybe you want to renew your vows and make it a surprise. What? That's something that'll bring you joy and happiness. So yeah, absolutely. It also touches on mental health and the possibility of sadness and prolonged sadness, despair. It sends us a message of hope. This particular, if you look at the card, it's got little branches with it looks like new little flowers or new little leaves. It's telling you, well, this is a cut piece of branch. And yet, even though it's cut, there's still new younglings coming out of it. So there is the message of hope that, to know that things are not always this sad. There's always hope. And then that's what you're supposed to be really working on. If this comes out for your client, you have a whole bunch of information depending on where it is that it lands. If it lands in your work, that's right. Maybe there's a short trip at work. Maybe there's somebody at work that is interested in you. Who knows? Maybe you need to let go of any anger, of any issues, work, and then start understanding and finding what makes you happy at work. Maybe it means find another job. You don't know, because it has to do with the energy that your client is going to bring. And this guy, which is going to be your spirit guide, that is going to be telling you, oh, this is what, and the spirit guide is the one communicating with her spirit guides, getting the information, bringing it over here, and putting the cards together in that intuitive reading so that you can be like, so things at work are not really that bad. Things at home are really not bad. You just need to revamp it. You know what? Maybe you need to take a little trip. This is a great card for it to come out on any spread, especially in today's time that we all have so much sadness that we keep feeling and seeing, and we're seeing it everywhere. So, but it's been like that for eons and eons. So choose high vibrations. That's all I got to say. Now we're going to talk about the Two of Swords, right? The Two of Swords in this deck means surprise. Yes. Okay. All the number 2 cards on this deck means duality. The surprise that we are talking about here has to do with the unconditional support and loyalty of friends, okay, who will unexpectedly come out of the woodworks to help us when we need it. It also has to do with enmity of acquaintances that kind of present themselves unexpectedly, and that can bring us consequences in unforeseen situations. So you have this or you have that. Well, it depends on where it falls and next to what. But right now we're just going to the beginner stages. So this could be either a surprise, And it's got the duality. You either have friends that come and help you, or there are consequences, right? And from acquaintances that you didn't expect. All right. When you look at the image of the two swords drawn, all right, and how one faces one side and one faces the other, it could be, depending on where it falls and next to whatever, it can be to warn us about maybe a disagreement, a fight, that could cause deep pain and many tears. It could, depending on what your client is telling you that is happening, and what that spirit guide that has to do with these cards, that know how to use these cards, is bringing onto the table. All right. Now, depending on the cards that accompany this one on your spread, all right, the surprise will be pleasant or perhaps unfortunate, because it's still a surprise. It's still a number two. It is still based on duality. Okay. Okay. So you all know how I feel about reversed cards, but if it were to come out reversed and you want to read reversed, although I will tell you, I don't read reverse cards, I already know that this card, depending on where it falls and what's happening to the client, shows perhaps a possible deception depending on where it is that it lands. Does it land at work? Open your eyes, baby, because you've got deception coming, okay? Someone with two faces who's going to try to hurt us, and they're going to use it with revenge. Watch what you did. What did you do? Does this person really need to take revenge on you? Was something that they put in their heads? The card doesn't have to be reversed for you to understand that and to know that. It depends on where it is that it falls. All right. But that is the two of swords, which is a surprise. And in a world of duality, it could be pleasant or unpleasant. So, and then the downside also is be careful at work or be careful at home. Be careful, even be careful with your health. Even though the card is not talking about health, just the fact that if it does come out reversed, or you feel that energy, tell the person, you know, just watch out for everything, your health, work, your money, just watch out. Okay, just tell them. And it's really just a warning to help them. So do not fearmonger, because that does not work. And you don't want that karma on you either. Let's talk about the Two of Cups. The Two of Cups. I really love these cups. I wish I would know how to draw them. But anyway, this card refers to a possible pregnancy or rebirth. It relates to children and creativity that are two very similar things, since it is something that comes out of us. Now, this card in particularly is related to the fifth house of astrology. And any card next to it or above it or below it gives us even more details when you start reading, the card and understanding the next card that is in the vicinity. Usually if it's near a page or a horse, anything on a horse, that's where you're going to get most of the information from this. And definitely it is talking about your client, whether you're the client or another person is a client. It could be a pregnancy or issues related to children. Uh, if it lands at work, it has to do with creativity or the capacity to be creative at work. If it is around some coins, it usually refers to expenses or income of something that we've created or something um, that we produce, especially for that of an artist or of an artistic nature. That's definitely, but it's definitely part of the fifth house. Let me go get water. Okay, so we're still talking about the Two of Cups. When we talk about astrology and the houses, since this card is directly related to the fifth house, the fifth house is ruled by Leo. The fifth house ruled not only by Leo, but a dramatic Leo. It governs self-expression, drama, creativity, color, attention, romance, fun, and play. That falls right into what I was saying about if this card comes out around a bunch of coins, then it is going to refer to expenses or income from the creative side of the client. But if you're doing it for yourself, then that has to do with you. All right. So that's important. Now let's keep going to the Two of Coins, which is really cool because the Two of Coins represents rivalries or competition of a third person in your life or your client's life that actually brings problems economically and in the business house. So usually I recommend to keep a very close eye to anything that has to do with projects, work, home, and love. Unfavorable moments for new initiatives or projects. So if the person says, yeah, I just want to know if at this moment I can start this project, and this card comes out in a spread that you're going to do, you're going to open up a spread just for that project, because that is what their question is about. Why are you going to do a reading on love if they're coming to see if something that they want to happen is going to happen or not? This card comes out, no, this is not a good time. Okay. This also can predict the arrival of a message via a letter, or maybe an email, or maybe anything that can either be positive or negative. Again, we're looking at number 2. We're working with number 2, which is the duality. So it could be either a positive or a negative, right? Now, according to the cards that fall onto in that role or in that spread that you're doing, it could be either positive or negative. So this is the information you're going to give your client. Now, this card foreshadows moments of intense emotion accompanied by poor clarity and agitation. This is a mental health card. This is it's talking anything that's duality that could be positive or negative can hit your mental health. It can hit it, and while the client might receive some compensation financially, it is still something that when this card comes out, you know, it cloud it's just telling you that the person's clarity is not there, and something's going to give at some point. If it's now, I'm going to give you the reversed, but really you can get that frequency from the cards standing upright, because again, we are dealing with duality. Anything that has to do with money for your client or for you at this point, could possibly get complicated, but you need to understand that it could be temporarily. There are things you can do to help things along as far as money is concerned and movement forward, but it will take a toll on the mental health, either of your mental health, or that of your client. So that deals with number 2, with the number 2 cards, the duality cards. So I'm going to be back with number 3.